Out of anyone who decides to watch this video, I would be willing to bet money on the fact that I dislike the mecha genre the most. I had every reason to dislike Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. As a kid, I was never really into Transformers or Gundam, even though I had friends who would talk about and to this day still love these shows. I just never understood the attachment to a machine compared to the attachment I had to human-like characters such as Gohan from Dragon Ball Z or even Ash from Pokemon. I've always been more into role-playing games rather than mechas, shooters, racing, or tanks, and barely even knew the Armored Core series existed. I always saw the game covers, but there was nothing inside me that said, man, I really need to play this game. I remember when I first saw the trailer for Fires of Rubicon and thought to myself, okay, there's no way From Software can make me enjoy this. I was excited to play the game because I was curious about what the mighty FromSoft could do to help me enjoy a genre that didn't speak to me. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is a mecha-based combat game developed by the legendary From Software and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It is the 15th installment of the Armored Core series, however currently has no links to any of the previous games. The official Armored Core website begins the story like this. There is a substance called coral, discovered on the remote developing planet Rubicon 3. It was supposed to be an energy resource for a new era that would bring about a quantum leap in human society. One day, however, the coral caused a catastrophe, and the flames and storms engulfed the surrounding star systems, leaving behind a deadly contamination. Since then, the area has been under strict surveillance. The planet Rubicon 3 has become blockaded. The survivors of the catastrophe were holding on to their fragile lives. Almost half a century has passed since the catastrophe, known as the Ibis Fire. An unknown new material has been discovered again on a remote developing planet. The conflict between the secretive invaders and the greedy rebels has begun to show signs of a full-blown conflict. And now, independent mercenaries are also about to throw themselves into the vortex. Feed the fire, let the last cinders burn. Despite AC6 being forged in the fires that is From Software, it came under some scrutiny for its graphics, gameplay loop, and alteration compared to older AC games, for being too Souls-like due to having a similar heal to the Estus flask and the way the camera functions. Let's get one thing straight. AC6 is not a Souls-like. If you come into it with a mindset that you're going to experience another Dark Souls or Elden Ring, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, does it draw inspiration and have elements from these games? Absolutely. This is From Software, and no matter what game they release, their company's personality will eventually show in their game. This is a good thing. This is part of what makes them human, and they shouldn't be shunned for that, especially when they are setting good standards for video games these days. Here in Australia, AC6 is rated PG, a rating appropriate for young teens to experience the sheer awesomeness that is FromSoft in a way that kids can enjoy. They could have easily aimed for a more mature audience rating, added some extreme shit in, and made it more appealing to the older Souls or Elden Ring fans. But I get the feeling that I'm not the target audience here. The game reminded me more of a game like Star Fox than it did any other FromSoft game I've played, in the way that certain decisions would send you down a different, more challenging path, and the constant back and forth between the mechs in and out of battle, each having such an interesting character personality and sparking my imagination on what it would be like to meet the pilot behind the AC. You actually never get to see any humans in AC6, and it creates a certain mysticism around each character that builds great immersion. This used to be something that turned me off games like this, but AC6 has helped me to appreciate this style of character. There is anonymity to everyone. You're a mercenary and are here to do a job, not make friends. But the person behind the mech, behind the PlayStation 5 controller, me, still can't help but to be curious about the other pilots I've worked with throughout this universe. Handler Walter, Rusty, Air. Are we bonding? No, I can't think like that. We each have a job to do. and that's all that matters. The game purposefully creates this distance. You accept your mission, you get it done, and you move on to the next. But the story writing is so powerful that it is constantly attempting to break your focus as a mercenary and see these characters as your employer, friend, or even romantic interest. Just listen to what Air says during the fight with her.
This is a shared life. I saw the potential for our future with you. You and I could have walked together.
Is she truly interested in our future, or just the future of her own selfish interests? The human inside us can't ignore these emotional statements we hear all throughout the game, and constantly we battle our enemies and our emotions to get the job done. Is this not the perfect metaphor for real life? AC6 was run on From Software's own game engine, the same one that made Sekiro and Elden Ring, and for that, some people weren't happy. I'm no professional in graphic design, but I do know what I think looks good and what looks bad. And to me, this game looks fucking phenomenal. We live in a world where every single game that comes out seems to have far more than acceptable graphics. And when I see a game release where the whole budget has been spent on making the game look perfect, but there is no fun gameplay, no exciting story, no soul put into the game, it makes me fucking mad, because I most likely spent $125 on it, and now I'm down in cash and in hope for the future of gaming. Developers need to take notes from AC6. Forget about the graphics until you make the game fun, and then sure, go wild with whatever graphics you think are necessary. But I've got to be honest, AC6 looks and feels incredible, and the cinematography is outstanding. Would I welcome more advanced graphics? Absolutely, but not at the cost of performance or gameplay. Plus, running on their engine allows for a broader audience who can't afford the most cracked PC to still be able to play and have a great experience. This is actually a smart decision considering the general population most likely just can't afford the top-end PCs. I got my main enjoyment from fights with other AC pilots and major bosses. Though the game wasn't extremely difficult, there were certainly some bosses who were absolute demons. Once you get good control over your mech with the incredible customization system and crazy amount of unique builds, you start to get in the zone and your mind blanks out the rest of the world while you dash around the screen at insane speeds, trying to keep up with your enemy. A constant barrage of missiles and lasers bombarding your mech, increasing the intensity inch by inch, is what creates the pressure for you to nail a perfect shot and dish out huge amounts of damage. The best way I can think to describe this is like the Earth game mode in League of Legends. You're constantly spamming buttons and get into this zone where everything just flows so perfectly. And no, it's not the same button mashing that we do in fighting games when we don't know the combos. It feels far more impactful and intentional. Now, I'm not an OG AC player. I'm new and can't speak for anyone who feels the game isn't true to their original beloved Armored Core series. If you played AC6 and you truly feel this way, then that sucks, man. It really does. I'm hoping that I can get the chance to go back and play some of the original games so that I can more accurately compare them. Because as a new fan to AC, this game was honestly such a great first experience. And for those who haven't played or are still trying to decide and are new to the genre, I would personally recommend giving it a go, especially if you can get it on sale. I paid full price and do not regret even one penny. Like I said at the beginning, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon gave me every reason to dislike this game, but I couldn't. I adored it. One last thing, don't forget to smile.